Peace, everybody. Turn this music down. All right. Let's see. How am I looking here? My sound good? Sound check. Oh, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Peace, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good out there. Make sure my sound is good here. Yeah, hear me. We're about to go in on this W-9 form. These instructions. I did a show the other day that revealed what you're actually doing when you fill out a W-9 form. How you're setting yourself up for U.S. citizen status when you do this form. I did some other videos on it before. And give me 1 second here. Get my lighting right. I did some other videos on it before, but I think this warrants going into a little further because some of you guys have mortgages, you have bank accounts, you have loans out there with the W-9 form on it, and now you're coming in after the fact saying that you're not a U.S. citizen. That's what's happening here. But you have conflicting paperwork that says otherwise. So what do you do? how do I get out of this? It's quite simple what you need to do. But let's go back over. Let me share my screen. So that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let me get set to myself here. All right. Share my screen here. Share. Right there. Boom. There you go. All right. On this form, it says, how do I know when to use the Form W-9? I went over this in my live show on Tuesday. As you know, I do a show, blogtalkradio.com/hindsight2020. And it goes over, I talk about different topics. I generalize because I don't go too deep unless you're in my private membership. I don't go too deep on things. But I was reading this, and I read this form before, but right here, I was reading this to a guy, and I was like, how do I know when to use the Form W-9? It says, use Form W-9 to request the taxpayer identification number of a U.S. person. So anytime someone hands you this, or you hand this to someone else to fill out, you're assuming that they're a U.S. person, right? Including a resident alien. Who's a resident alien? Someone who comes from, like, let's say they came from Mexico and they're here working. That's a resident alien. So they're treating them as U.S. persons too when they fill out this, right? And to request certain certifications and claims for exemptions. See purpose of form or Form W-9. Withholding agents may require signed Forms W-9 from U.S. exempt recipients to overcome a presumption of foreign status. That's the big word here. It says overcome right here. Overcome. And in the other video, let's copy that and look up that definition of overcome. All right, overcome by the Cambridge English Dictionary is to defeat or succeed in controlling or dealing with something. So they're trying to defeat your foreign status when they're giving you this form. This is another slick way to get you into the jurisdiction of being a U.S. person, U.S. citizen of the United States. This is another way to do it. This is why they require, because why? Why are you making me fill this form out? I could just give you the number. But that form is a certification of you being a U.S. person. You see what I'm saying? So if you're a U.S. person, fill it out. If your company is a U.S. person, fill it out. If your trust is a U.S. person, fill it out. But if you're not, you don't fill this out. You fill out the W-8 bin form. Right? You fill that out. Right? But see, what the issue is this, that the norm is to hand this form out. And when you hand them a W-8 bin, they looking like kind of weird and stuff like that. What's this? I've never seen this before. And in the minds of the sheep or the sheeple, if they've never seen, they said the music too loud. Okay, let me stop the music. Hang on. I thought I had turned it down. I'm sorry. All right, there you go. It's down. My bad. All right. So when they look at, the sheeple, the ignorant, the people that are not in the know about what the difference is between an American national and a U.S. citizen, they see these W-8 forms because they didn't see it. They think it's wrong because they have been programmed to do something a certain way. So when you come in and disrupt that programming, they get, oh, this can't be right. I got to talk to my supervisor. I got to talk to this one. But that's like with the passport. I tell people the explanatory statement says the line out, right? What applies to you, right? And I had a guy email me or call me up, and he said, hey, the guy wouldn't do it because I lined out the acts and conditions, that the parts that applied to me. And I said, did you read them instructions? He said, yeah, I read the instructions. I said, even when you read these fools the instructions, they still will try to disagree with you and tell you it's not right when the application is saying specifically, line out the portion that applies. And same thing with this. This thing tells you when you use it, right? It tells you in here in these instructions. It tells you. It says, who uses this form? Who's the form for? These are the instructions. But if you pull up the actual W-9 form, see, the issue also is a lot of people out there are taking information from people on their word and not reading forms. I mean, right here in the certification part 2, right here. Let's make this big so you can see that. So you can see that nice and big. Certification says, under penalties of perjury, I certify that the number shown on this form is my correct taxpayer identification number. What does taxpayer mean? That you're a taxpayer, right? Or I am waiting for a number to be issued to me. And I am not subject to backup withholding because A, I am exempt from backup withholding, or B, I have not been notified by the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, that I am subject to backup withholding as a result of failure to report all interest or dividends. You notice it says backup withholding for failure to report interest and dividends. It doesn't say all taxes due on your income. That's an interesting statement they're putting there. I would have to share in a private membership to give detail. They don't like me revealing what that means to you. And C, the IRS has notified me that I am no longer subject to backup withholding. And 3, right there, bold as day, I am a U.S. citizen or other U.S. person defined below. Now, where's the definition below? It says as defined below. They don't even give you what they mean by as defined below. They don't even see. So you got to go find what the definition of a U.S. person is, which is right here in this section. Definition of a U.S. person. For federal tax purposes, you are considered a U.S. person if you are. And it says for federal tax purposes only. So U.S. person is synonymous with being for federal tax purposes. Really, only, right? An individual who is a U.S. citizen or U.S. resident alien, a partnership. So what is a U.S. resident alien? Someone who goes get that green card and say, I want to be here and I need your permission. Give me the green card. I'll be a U.S. resident alien so you can tax me. And now I can go work. That's their working papers, right? A partnership, corporation, company, or association created or organized in the United States or under the laws of the United States. So if you formed your company in the United States, registered down at the Secretary of State of your state, then it's a United States corporation. It's a U.S. person. Okay? And a state other than a foreign estate or the domestic trust. Now you see why it's so important to get that 98 number, that foreign grantor trust number. You see? So that's the definition according to the IRS rules of a U.S. citizen. Now, when you go to different codes, they'll have another definition for U.S. citizens. Someone who lives in District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and all these other things. But for the purposes of this section, this form, that's a U.S. person. See, definitions take on different meanings, depending on the code. That's why you got to be careful when you go into seminars, listening to people, and they say, well, U.S. citizens is just this. That's not true because they have different meanings depending on what you're doing. Just like for this form, you're a U.S. person by definition based on what this form is saying when you fill it out. When you're following other IRS codes, it has a different meaning. You see? And I've already showed you in the earlier that the W-9 is to overcome or to defeat your foreign status. So that's why I titled it W-9 form, don't do it. Don't mess with it. It's not for you. It's not for the foreign. It's not for the American national. Right here it says, tells you when, right here it tells you that you fill out W-8s. Now W-8s are for, I think, what do you call it? Tax exempt organizations? I was reading the definition, but that's not the purpose of this video to go into what a W. It's the W-8 bin. It tells you when to use a W-8 bin. Let's go back up. Purpose of this form. Who uses the form? Let's pull up a W-8 bin. Let's see. W-8 bin instructions, which I went over in another video. I hate when they do this here. I got to click all of these links to get what I want. It says here, if you receive it, establish you are not a U.S. person. If you receive certain types of income, you must provide Form W-8 bin to establish that you are not a U.S. person. So this is the W-8 bin establishes that you are not a U.S. person. So this is the form. This is a form that you use in exchange for a W-9. Now, I wouldn't fill out their form. I would create my own form because they say you could do a substitute W-8 bin or a W-8 or a W-9. You can do that. It's in the instructions. Then it says here, like I said in my other video, giving Form W-8 bin to the withholding agent. Do not send Form W-8 bin to the IRS. Instead, give it to the person who is requesting it from you. Generally, this will be the person from whom you receive the payment, who credits your account, or a partnership that allocates income to you. Akeem, you being repetitious. Why do you keep talking about this? But because I have to be, because people are so programmed into these other forms that they don't know what they're doing. Let me see. There's a section. Briefly, I'll touch on it again about the substitute W-8. Let's see. Let's do this. Substitute. Let me see. Maybe I'll just do this. Substitute. There it is right there. It says W-8 bin or a substitute form is filled to notify the broker or barter exchange. So we're going to find substitute where it's only in two places in this document. Nope. So let's do this because there's a section in the IRS code that talks about W-8. All right, there. That's Charles Schwab. I want to go to an IRS website that says it. Substitute form right here. All right, instructions for request of form W-8 bin, W-8 bin E. So let's do this. There it is, 16 times in this document. So let's go find them. That's just, let's go find the one we need. Here it is. Substitute forms W-8 for payments are reportable. So you can create your own form. See, I would create my stuff to make sure that everything I do is making me look like, see, substitute form W-8 Ben right there. So my stuff will look similar to my explanatory statements or have the same language in it. You see what I'm saying? That's what I would do. You know, I would not take the form W-8 Ben offline and use it as is, because of course, they're going to have it written in such a way where it traps you. And plus, the W-8 Ben form, let's find a W-8 Ben form. Just in this, when you go down to the certifications, the penalty of perjury doesn't have the without the United States, the unsworn declaration saying that you're without the United States on it. You see what I'm saying? All right. I think I made my point on that. Anybody got any questions? I see a lot of people in the chat room. Let's see. Let's go through the chat. It's not many people asking questions. Yes, I make sure of what I am reading before I sign anything. Make sure my status is known. That's right, Heather. Good job. Free Church Press. It's not a U.S. person. It's the person who controls all the major for the entity is not a U.S. person. Okay, I'm not sure what type of point you're trying to make there. I kind of get what you're saying. It's not a U.S. person. The person controls all the major decision for the entity that is not a U.S. person. Okay. All right. Thanks, Heather, for the appreciate the information. Sons of the One True King, peace, Kennard, thanks. Before I go, been on here about 19 minutes. Y'all got any questions? Well, while y'all thinking about something to ask me, see, I get on here spontaneously and I ask questions. Hey, what y'all want to know? And no one asks questions, right? We got 44 people on. So a decent amount of people. But then as soon as I go into my free time, I get a barrage of emails. This is why I do this. I come on like this. I do my show so I can answer questions. If it's not too detailed, revealing, high knowledge, I'll say it. But if it's not, we're going to have to do a personal consultation. Do we get a special way to do a driver's license? Mark White is saying that. I do have a special way to do a driver's license. It's funny that you're asking me that. I got a driver's license webinar on my website, akimel.com. And but I'm gonna update it because things have changed. I did that back in 2018. So some things I've added to that process. Now my people that get into my premium membership, they know what the new stuff is, right? They got it, right? But, some people don't want to join the membership. So I'm going to do a driver's license webinar to showing you how to put your status on the record. And I'm just, without going into the details, because I'm still in the midst of this controversy, I have gotten pulled over and didn't give them a driver's license. I didn't give them registration. I gave them my passport card and they sent me on my way. In some states, they won't let you drive without that, show them that proof. I was able to, I said, this is my passport card and that's my traveling document. And anything else you're asking from me, I'm not obligated to give it to you because the Constitution says I don't have to incriminate myself. And then I shut up. Sit there, they do what he got to do, send me on my way. Can we give this form to our employer? Most definitely. That's who that your employer is, a withholding agent. Can you bring up the 8232 form and go over it and fill it out? No, I don't fill out forms online. That's giving you tax advice in the public. I don't do that. I can go look at the 8233 form and talk about it in sometime in the future, but right now, no, because that's not what the subject of what I was talking about. But I can do that. I'll put that on my list. And peace to the gods. And how do I cancel the driver's license and social security card? I don't teach canceling anything. I teach letting them know who you are on the record. That's what I teach. All of that, get rid of the social security card. You can't get rid of that number if you wanted to. They're making money off of that. So you trying to close something that they're making money on, they're not going to allow you to do that. But what you can do is like what I do. Don't use it. I don't use my social for credit and all of that stuff. I use EINs. I use CPNs, which is EIN is another way of doing CPNs. I don't use a social for my lights or anything. I use with lights. I mean, I could just tell you real quick what to do with your lights and your utilities. You call them up and say, I want service, and they're gonna ask for the social. You say, no, I don't give that out. Then they're going to ask you for some type of identification. I give them my passport information. They run it. I get my service. Last time I did that, deposit was only like $100. I paid that. In a year, they'll credit that to my account. I don't give them socials. I don't use it because the social was not designed for you to use it for things like that. It was originally designed for a retirement fund. For you. Then they created all of this other thing to trap you into it. Next one. How much is the premium membership? It's $1,500. That includes the coaching of getting your passport as a national, because that's what you're paying for. Then I introduce you into your trust, setting up your trust, and how to do 1041s, like the 1099 forms, the A's, the B's, the OIDs properly without getting yourself into any trouble. Basically, I just introduce you to the people that I'm connected with that do that stuff correctly. You know, getting your UCC bond put on the record properly. And it must be filed in Maryland. What if I add a UCC 1-308 to my signature? I don't just make it simple, man. Put without prejudice, all rights reserved. That's good enough. You can put all that. See, when you put the UCC 1-308, they're going to automatically put you into sovereign citizen status. And you do that on a loan application, you're not going to get the loan. They're gonna say no. Someone said they drive with their passport card. Yes, confirmation. 8Ben is to the one that pays for the one services. Could you explain explanatory statements and any passport knowledge? I got plenty of videos on explanatory statements. That's in. Go watch my other videos about passport, national passport. All of that's in detail in those videos. Is there a notice that has to be given to a government entity as proof you are an American national before you file a W-8 No. You only give a W-8 till you open up a bank account. You go to work for someone. You give it to all of your withholding agents to let them know your status. There's no government entity that you can give it to show that status. Like I said, the IRS doesn't want that form. You give it to the people that's handling the business. Just don't use the SS. Correct. What do you know about Title 31-325? You got to spell that out. Spell that out. What is that? What is Title what? I know codes, but I don't be remembering that stuff like that. You know, Title 31, blah, blah. You know, I don't be spitting them. No, I know the wording. Relief for lost, stolen, or destroyed, mutilated, defaced obligations. I don't really. I've looked at this code before, but I don't have much to talk about it. In what context you're asking that? You can have an LLC through SOS. The sole member can be a church, and the trustee can be a non-U.S. person. This will make the other. Yeah, that's all true. That's all true. You don't need a 9-8 number. A church is automatically mandatory exempt. You don't necessarily need a 9-8 number, but I recommend you get one. Now, all of that don't need 9-8 number. I suggest Free Church Press that if you want to teach that stuff, go start a video and talk about it and say why a person doesn't need it. Because you're saying they don't need it, but you're not giving an explanation. You're not giving details. So the best way to give details is you create a video and you talk about that. And then everybody will learn that, what you're talking about. But yeah, a church can own it. If you get a church EIN, that's another subject I'm going to be talking about, getting your church EIN for yourself. Everyone should have one. Open up an EIN as a business and do write-off or deductions on equipment as far as car and house. Won't that work for if personal credit is it good? You're talking about standard deductions. That's tax advice. You would have to talk to a tax person about write-off. Although I know about write-offs, you open up a business, anything you have expenses for can be written off. But the key is you want to open up that business correctly. You don't want to be looked at as a U.S. person running a U.S. business, because then it is subject to U.S. tax returns. Check me out. This is for the indemnity bonds. I don't know. To issue bearer bonds, he don't need it. Whatever they're talking about. All right, anything related to the W-9 form or passports, I'll talk about it. All that indemnity bonds and bearer bonds, I've seen people get in trouble with that. So, depending on how you're using it and how you're using it correctly, you won't have problems. But if you do these things wrong, you're done. You're toast. All right, who else? One more minute, I'm out. Can you use W-2 form in the W-8 bin with employer? Okay, let's look up a W-2 form. What is a W-2 form? W-2 is, you mean a W-4 form. A W-2 is what they give you after you to do your taxes. So you mean use a W-4 form with a W-8. Now, I suggest you go read the W-4 laws. You don't have to fill out a W-4 form, and it says it that you don't have to fill it out. You give that to your employer if you want money taken out. The reason why employers force a W-4 form on you is because they get benefits from the government for trapping you into filling that out. They get to hold on to that money and get interest off of it while they're collecting, becoming your withholding agent. W-8 form, you give them to let them know you are exempt for that. So I would not fill out a W-4 form. I just give them the W-8, say I'm exempt, and I'm exempt from filling that form out. Period. Let's go back to the chat. Should the 9-8 number and national passport come first? No, national passport first. 9-8 number is only needed when you're setting up your trust. That's for your trust. So they don't go together. They're not connected in any way. They're just layers of protection. That's all it is. I did my 9-8 number 6 years ago. Is it still relevant? Yeah, any 9-8 number is still good. It just depends on how you're using it. Any 9-8 number is good. I had one from about the same time. But sometimes when people did, dude, if you want to talk about bearer bonds and all of that, Travis Williams, I think you probably want to go and open up a video and talk about that. All right. Passport card can open up a bank account. Well, the problem, okay, let me change that. Passport card is hard because it doesn't have a signature on it. Take your passport book in there. Your passport book. You okay? You don't have a signature on the passport card. They can't verify signatures, and they need that. Like on my passport card, I got the stamp. I got a stamp next to my signature. All rights reserved without prejudice. Got my passport as a national. My card is a 5-star. I don't know, I keep telling y'all 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. Whoever told y'all that, let them prove it by pulling up the law on that. A 98 number is a CPN. A credit profile number. Any number that you use for credit is a CPN. So that could be an EIN, that could be your social, that could be your ITIN. Any 9-digit number that you use to get credit is a CPN. So any one of those, CPN is just a general term for a 9-digit number used to get credit. So that could be any 9-digit number that you're using for credit. Back to the passport card. Opening a bank account. No, use your passport book and give them that. Got my passport. Is that 5? Oh yeah, 5 stars, 4 stars. They don't mean anything. I've done a lot of passports for people, and I've had people have 5 stars with extreme criminal records, and I had people get 5 stars that didn't have a criminal record, clean as a whistle, got 5 stars. And I saw families with children with 5 stars, and the parents had 3 and 4. Doing the same exact process. So it's really no difference. Okay. All right. Well, hey, free church person. If you don't want to make a video, then don't. Then don't come here with your suggestions if you're not willing to explain it in detail. No, you don't need an EIN for a church. I already know that. I have an EIN. I have 3 EIN church numbers. I already know that. So the 98 number in church has nothing to do with each other. So I don't know why you even brought that up. 98 number is simply for a trust. To set up a grant of trust. That's it. So I have a trust, and my trust owns, my personal trust owns my church trust or my church EIN. They own it. Own that entity. So I don't know why you mixing the two together. I don't get the whole point of even putting those two together. All right, it's like the blue strip in 100s. It say U.S. national. All 3 is supposedly, if it's correct in it. If not, to say U.S. Department of State. Okay, Mark White. I teach how to guarantee indemnity bonds, surety bond program to ensure. Okay, you teach that, but what's the remedy in that, Travis Williams? Is this the same Travis from who used to listen on my show a while back? That used to send me messages in my my page, in my Facebook page. Is that the same Travis? Confirm or deny? Thank you, Arlene Lopez. Right. I don't know why 98 number and the church EIN, they're 2 different things. Because when you go get a church EIN, you have to check off church. You have to say church. And then it spits out an EIN. But now when you got your church EIN, did you backdate it? Oh, let's what about that? Did you backdate it? Oh, when you got your church EIN, did you include your name as a church? See, that's what I want to talk about. I'm waiting for Travis Williams to show me, you're teaching something, but I want to see proof of what you're teaching, that works. You don't hear me talking about surety bonds and all that because I've never seen that stuff work. I only talk about what I know works. Yeah, I'm waiting and I'm getting silence. I know there's a delay in the video, but by now you should have heard me. Correct the presumptions. Exactly. No. You can get a 98 number. Again, 98 number is for a trust. You don't need to do a UCC1 or SPC to just go get the 9 number. There's no specific order. UCC1, let me remind you, is a financing statement. It does not make you the secured party. And it's not support SPC, it's secured party, not support secured party creditor. Is the passport process more lengthy now because of COVID? If you're meaning lengthy, meaning it takes more time, no, they've been coming back pretty fast. I did a consultation with a guy about 2-3 weeks ago, and he's already got his passport back. So they're processing pretty much on the normal time. You know, they still, damn, you still hate. Where are you reachable? At Travis Williams. So Travis Williams, someone's interested in your indemnity bonds. If you have a bank account with my social on it, can I go to the bank, renew with my passport book? Here's the problem. Once you create a profile with a bank, you pretty much, they're going to keep that profile. You're not going to be able to get that off the record. You're not going to be able to get that off the record. So go get a new bank account and not use the social. Can you use registered mail numbers as a trust identifier? Yes, you can. Very good question. Very, very, very good question. Oh, very good question. All right, that's 10:38. That's it. Oh, I am about to sign off. I appreciate everybody comments, even the ones that were trying to teach the other stuff. Hey, you know, everybody wants to be a teacher. But if you want, here's my advice: if you want to teach, show proof of what you're teaching. Don't just talk about it. Don't be, you could do this. Because so many people come and say, I could do this, you could do that. You know, so many people saying what they can and can't do. I've run into so much of that. And then when I say pull out the proof, oh, you know, my cousin, uncle, sister, mama did it. My boy did it. Okay, go get your boy's paperwork and show me. That never shows up. So when y'all talking about bonds and all of this UCC stuff, y'all need to go take, lessons from all the people that tried it and they're sitting in jail right now. Okay? All right. Let's see. Before I go, maybe I'll take another question. Peace. Thank you, Arlene. Thank you, Arlene. Appreciate it, Taiwan Johnson. Christ says, show yourself approved. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Show yourself approved. You're right. I agree with that one. All right, y'all have a wonderful, prosperous weekend. Peace, prosperity, extreme wealth to all. All right, peace.